trying a new camera angle. Hopefully it doesn't suck. Hello and welcome to Emily Reviews. My name is Emily, and here on my channel I talk about movies my daughter and I watch. We give our opinions and show some of our favorite clips. Make sure you hit that like button, wait until the end of the video, and comment the emoji I request, and subscribe so you don't miss an upload. Okay, so this week it actually is, well, to me, it's a special week for two reasons. For one, I turned 35 yesterday. How is that special? 35. No, that's not that special. And because it's my birthday, I chose a really the feels movie. You know, one of those ones. A movie that I've loved forever, and I, wanted to watch this for my birthday, and then, well, not watch it for my birthday. Well, I don't. Words and I are not friends, but I wanted to have a special movie for my birthday week of an upload, I guess. You know how I am. I have no words for how I am. That's how I am. Every time I watch Anne of Green Gables, I start to wonder what it would be like to live back then. I watch this movie and I see all of the respect, not just for themselves, but for other people as well. The more I think about it, and how much happier all of these people must be in Avonlea. I thought for this video, we could together figure out if back in the days when Anne of Green Gables was written, we as a people were better off socially. But before we get into these questions and this discussion, I want to make very clear that we are not talking about all of the negatives and the setbacks and the oppression that was very prominent back then. We're not talking about those things at all. We are just comparing and contrasting the social aspects to people in the early 1900s to now, us as a people in the early 2000s. Okay, it's around that whole time. Anne of Green Gables was written, set back between the years of 1900 1919. So that's where we are. We're 2022. So, it's around that time. So I think it's an interesting concept to think about how we were as a people back then to how we are as a people now, socially, and that's it. That's it. It is very clear that people's understandings of the advancement in science and medicine and technology was not remotely considered possible. Yes, their understanding was impressive, that's for sure, but it's nothing like today. And I wonder if a lot of the happiness I see for back then is ignorance is bliss. I wonder if technology was as big then as it is now, if people would be as happy. Or do people only seem more happy back then because depression and anxiety went underreported due to ignorance? It is important to note that when doing research on this topic, the most common aspects of why there seems to be a drop in the social rapport is because farming has become industrial. Farming relied on people to do the work, to work the farm, and people to buy the products farmed. Before the days of industrial farming, farmers only had community, people coming together to help seed the fields and again helped with the harvest. As a result, the people worked harder and slept better, and again is why I think that we were better off we weren't better off back then, but we were much happier. We need sleep to do everyday things. When we don't get the sleep we need, our minds are not as sharp and we are more quicker to anger and so on. There are a number of reasons why it is important to get the right amount of sleep, but there are twice as many things we have at our fingertips to help keep us awake at night. In a lot of the ways, the technology that's helping us, that's so easily at our fingertips, is one of the things that is a contributing factor to our declining mental health. Our minds are these ever thinking, ever growing, ever changing powerhouses of information. It's never at rest. Back in the days when Anne of Green Gables was written, there wasn't radio or TV. People had to entertain themselves, playing games, playing make believe, spending hours with their nose in a good book. That's what people did to keep busy. There has to be something said about how much we still don't know about our minds. It really seems like our minds were much better, happier when they stimulate when we stimulate ourselves compared to now having TV and etc. to do it for us. We are our minds. Our minds make our reality, and our reality is unique to every single person. We live in a fantasy more than reality without the ability to be able to, as Anne would put it, drink in all of the information, then our minds would become stagnant and unaware. I do again want to be clear that I am fully aware that there was depression and anxiety and always has been around from the beginning of people. But what I am not aware of and trying to figure out here is if there was as much before the age of technology, or is that dreadful blue light really the bane of our technological existence? I talked about a few times in my videos that I went to culinary school, and I'm a chef. I actually went to culinary school in PEI, where Anne of Green Gables was written. It takes place. Lucy Maud Montgomery, she lived there. Her home has turned into this museum. I've been there plenty of times. It's pretty cool. It's kind of funny, like the islanders themselves, they hate Anne, and it. I don't think that they would hate Anne if they weren't from PEI, but they hate Anne because she's their only tourist attraction, and Anne is exploited. Like, they exploit the crap out of her. In the summertime, there are busloads of people, and they just it's just Anne everywhere. They even have cosplay actors, and they dress up like back in those days. Like, they have so much, and it's quite a sight to see when in the summertime, when all of the actors and all of the tourist buses and the cruise ships, and it's pretty crazy. But I think I lived there for 3 years, and it didn't bother me. I loved it. I loved it so much. But I definitely can see, if I grew up there and dealing with it all of the time and never ever getting a break from it. Oh yeah. Yeah, I could see that. I could see how I would just hate Anne. But fortunate for me, I didn't grow up there, and I never got sick of it, and I still love Anne of Green Gables. I'm mainly talking about the first movie with this, but there's a lot of them. And we watched all three. The biggest thing I noticed that we as a people do now that we didn't then is avoid. We have so many ways to avoid, to the point we don't even have to speak to anyone. Texting and emails made it too easy for us to become disconnected. Back when Anne was written, people didn't have phones in their homes. They had no choice but to either go see a person or write a letter. When Anne insulted Rachel Lynn, Anne was made to go apologize to her in person. People settled their differences like adults. Nowadays, you get people like my neighbors who make up crazy stories about you in their head and record you having autistic episodes. If you've actually watched this movie, it's not exactly one movie. It's more like six. Well, disguised as three. like how in the sequel. I do get a chuckle of their purity culture. It's not like the crap that Girl Defined are spewing with their toxicity on their channel. No, nothing like that. But it is odd in its own way. Like Gilbert kept proposing to Anne, and she kept saying no because she wanted to see the world and have a job before she settled down. And when Anne told Diana that she turned Gilbert down, Diana said, Anne, after 2 years of flirting, this is scandalous. Flirting definitely is not scandalous now. A few years ago, I was practicing my customer people skills. Being autistic, I definitely have difficulties with that, and I need constant social exposure in order for me to be a person. So when I worked at that job, I was such a huge flirt. I think I am kind of naturally a flirty person. Like when I get more around people, you do I do have my flirty side that comes out. It's, I find it fun. It's lighthearted. The more I'm around people, the more I actually like people, and I can have random conversations with people who I've never met before for hours. But if I'm not around a lot of people and I get all anxious or whatever, then it's get the hell out of my face, buddy, before I beat the crap out of you. It's I'm Dr. Jekyll and Mrs. Hyde, really. Like that's basically what I am, right? I think people like me would do better back then because of the constant social aspects of it. Going to garden parties, and like they were big on in going to church. They're Protestants, so like there's a lot of community, and I think that people like me would do probably did do better back then socially because of the not being able to avoid and all of that stuff, right? But me personally, because I think because I'm just such a a naturally flirty person, I did have a child out of wedlock at 19 years old. I would be such a Jezebel. I would be the same in that world as I am in this world, shunned by everybody I know. I'm just destined to have no one. That's probably why I'm so content now on being alone and not having anyone or seeing anyone or having any support or relying on anyone, which is why I wanted to do this because, like, I don't know, I'm not happy. I'm not a happy person. It, I, I'm not happy. Of course not. You know, of course I would like to have friends and family, but I'm content being by myself. I'm content with the not happiness. I'm content just being a mom and taking care of my child. And that brings me to my conclusion of I don't even know. I don't even know. 3 scripts and filming, and how many times did I try this? How many days and weeks I thought about this, And I don't know. I don't know. Like I don't know. People definitely did seem happier. People definitely seemed like they were stronger willed, and they seemed like they had more drive and ambition and weren't as lazy. They seemed more respectful and overall just seemed better. They seemed to have respect for themselves and respect for their neighbors. And they didn't tell you how to act and didn't expect that you weren't any more than what you were. I don't know. I just think that we were better off socially. That's what I think. I don't know. I don't know anything. I don't know if I'm right. I don't know if I'm wrong. I don't know. I just know that I don't know. And the more I think about it, like, yeah, it sucked for us medically, and we had no understanding of things, and women couldn't even vote back then. Like, we weren't even considered people. And I don't just mean the parts of there only being choice of was either a school teacher or a nurse or a mother. I don't mean that for women. I just, again, I'm not talking about that. I didn't talk about that crap at all. So, I would like to thank you for hanging out with me. I have no idea if this even is making any sense or if I have just been talking out of my butt for the last like 20 minutes or so. I'm leaning more towards the latter myself personally. But yeah, the more I think about this, the more I get a headache. Unanswered questions always give me a headache. But I really would love to know what you guys think in the comments. I would like to know if we were better off socially. Am I just an idiot? Or do you agree with me? I really want to know. Don't forget to comment the emoji, which is a wagon. Or a horse and buggy. If you have a horse and buggy in your little emoji thing, totally. But if not, a wagon. Well, bye.